People gathered in their masses to buy TP for their asses. Evil cramps that sense destruction. Diarrhea in production. Fuck that. I'm not a singer. All right. Yeah, I couldn't go any further with it, and I couldn't practice because I actually am a little bit under the weather. Not sick or anything, but just tired, run down. I know people wanted me to do that so bad. Maybe if I would have drank a little water first. Maybe we should do it again. Should we go back and do it one more time? Why not, right? Let's see if we can do it again. Let's do it one more time. By the way, sing along. I fucked the toilet paper up. People gathered in their masses to buy TP for their asses. Evil cramps that sense destruction. Diarrhea in production. All right, that's enough. That's enough. Listen, this is gonna... People gathered in their masses. See if I do it more. To buy TP for their asses. It is Friday night, March 13th, 2020. This is the Don Tony Show. And honestly, I have no notes planned today except for one thing. Gonna come up here, talk about what happened tonight with Smackdown, give you my overall thoughts, or if I was Pat Patterson, my overall thoughts of what we saw tonight, what should happen in the near future, and we'll talk about it. Plus, everybody tuning in live, we'll do a little bit of Ask Me Anything during the show. People gathered in their masses. I'm getting better at it. To buy TP for their asses. Evil cramps that spell destruction. Diarrhea in production. See, you know what it is? I tried to memorize it. And I think the challenge of memorizing it and having the perfect pitch for it, I think that kind of screwed me up a little bit. But, all right, I wasn't kidding when I said this earlier. I fell asleep about 15 minutes before SmackDown started. Took a power nap. And no joke, I woke up. I just told my Amazon Alexa thing to wake me up at 7:58 Eastern. And thing goes off, and I wake up, 10-minute power nap, and I turn on to the USA Network. And then I realized, wait a minute, it's not Monday night? So I shot over to Fox. And at 7:59, what is the first thing I see when we go over to Fox? The commercial of D-Generation X reuniting after 10 years at Madison Square Garden. March 22nd. I don't think so. Saw that commercial a few times tonight. Almost felt like Fox was trying to fuck with me. Like, hey, I know you want to go, but yeah, that ain't happening. Look, this is like an impromptu episode. I know I didn't do the Don Tony Show last week. I don't want to do clips just to do clips, but I thought we needed to have a normal, organized conversation here as far as what's going on with this coronavirus, how it's affecting wrestling, and in my opinion, what should happen at WrestleMania. Now, I did research, too many websites for me to give credit to, but I actually gathered all of the changes that is gone down in the next couple of weeks. Not just WWE, but AEW, Ring of Honor. I got the whole list here. So some of you that live in different areas that might have been planning to see some of these events, I have the list. It should be up to date as of maybe a half an hour ago. But look, it's not going to be a long show, obviously. And SmackDown tonight, 3 matches, empty arena. Triple H was great. I even said earlier today on Twitter, it's like a 30-minute video. I was bored in my office, and I said I wouldn't be surprised if SmackDown ends up being one of the more entertaining shows of the year so far because it's impromptu, just like what happened with Saudi Arabia. Remember that SmackDown when some of the staff was still stuck in Saudi Arabia or they were en route? It turned out to be an awesome show. Now, look, I'm going to say this. This is just my opinion. I appreciate everybody out there that actually listen to when I do other shows. There's a difference between hearing something and listening to it, because I had some people that assumed that I had already said publicly what I think should happen to WrestleMania. On Monday, when I was talking about the WrestleMania gift bag with the hand sanitizer and the mask and all that stuff, I said if WrestleMania goes on as planned, that's what WWE should do at minimum. All right. But now, since it's Friday the 13th, as Carmelo is saying, full moon. And by the way, during this episode, for everybody tuning in live, you can ask me anything. Can be wrestling, can be anything. We're going to get this as interactive as possible today. But first, I want to just give you my thoughts on what I think should happen to Mania. And let me also stress this. I understand wrestlers are coming from all over the world to WrestleMania weekend in Florida. So I see all of these passionate people online. Think of the wrestlers. Think of this. If this cancels, then this happens. And if this cancels, then they lose a payday and this and that. That is the profession that they chose to go into. Shit happens. It's not the end of the world. I said a week ago, and I said it again a day or two ago, I'm not going to be one of these people online that thinks the world is coming to an end. Oh my God, I don't know what I'm going to do. Oh my God, I'm not working and this and that. You hear the same shit when you hear a forecast of 2 feet of snow coming to my neck of the woods. It's amazing how many people the last 2 days have been complaining online. They complain more than the people who are actually sick with this coronavirus. Now, I don't want to see any wrestler, anybody ever losing a payday. And it's not just the wrestlers. It's the hotels, it's the restaurants, it's the vendors, it's the artists, it's Shaheen, it's Art Moore, AJ Moore. I keep calling him Art Moore. But by the way, a lot of their cool artwork behind me. We're going to start giving them away very, very soon. I got some awesome ones. Maybe I'll pull them out and share it with you a little bit later. But there's a lot more than just wrestlers going to Florida. But when I see all these people online, God bless all of you, because I know deep down inside you really do care. But these public statements like, please buy their merchandise, please buy their shirts, please buy this, we all have problems in life. We all get massive bills. Okay, they're not going to be able to go to WrestleMania weekend. They're not going to be able to do stuff in the next 2 or 3 weeks. Oh, fucking well. I'm not trying to be cold towards anybody out there, but it's not the end of the world. I honestly think that there's some people out on the internet that do that, not because that they want everybody to go and buy other people's rights. It's because they want to get that like back from that wrestler. Oh, thank you for thinking about me. Here's what I honestly think needs to happen. WrestleMania needs to be postponed. Needs to be postponed until the summertime. All right. Look, I always joked about it for many, many years. Goes back to Ring of Honor. Ring of Honor was probably the first one to do it before anyone else. And that is, and I used to call it freeload on WrestleMania weekend. Oh my God, we got 1,800 fans. Well, if WrestleMania wasn't in town, you would have did 500. All right. I used to say that 15 years ago, whatever it was. Now I understand a lot more. Smart business, man. You go where they are. You go where they are. So all of these companies, WrestleCon, IndieFeds, this promotion, that promotion, Japanese, Irish, Italian, this Fed that never ever does a show in Florida, goes to Florida. You have to be prepared for the unexpected. There's a phrase, expect the unexpected. You always prepare for the worst. You always have to have backup plans. And the thing is that we have a fucking virus going on around in the world right now that I don't think people really comprehend how serious it could get like this. You know, I used this example earlier today. You know, what people need to understand, and all of you out there have done this, you walk into a doctor's office, November, December, January, February, you're going for blood work, maybe you're going for a flu shot, whatever the reason why you're going. And you walk into the doctor's office and there's like 15 people there over the age of 70, and every single one of them is going, you don't think that's not catchy? You don't think when you walk into a doctor's office and there's a kid with fucking polka dots on his face, he's got chickenpox, he's got the measles, that's not catchy? There are other things that you could catch. Things are catchy. So what do? Oh, stay clear away. You use the Lysol strips. You wash your hands, you sanitize. You know, you don't get in somebody's face. You know, I mentioned this maybe, I think on Wednesday Night Dynamite in my office, and I kind of showed everybody today. I got like a 10-foot space between my desk and customers. This way, if a customer sneezes, you know, number one, I spray it with Lysol immediately, but number two, when I spray it, I don't spray it in their eyes. In your mouth, you spray it in my eyes. What are you, fucking stupid? So you got to take precautions. But the problem is, and this is what people need to understand, you know, I could walk into the deli. Earlier today, I went to the deli. I bought a couple of things. All right, there were people all around buying stuff and this and that. Now, for all I know, one of those people in the deli could have the coronavirus right now, and I don't know. I stood online to get some steak, some chicken, and a few other things, some cheese, and there's a woman right next to me. And I'm looking in the corner of my eye, and I'm like, she looks shot. And not shot like you go to a club and somebody looks shot. She looked like she was sick and like she just struggled. But I don't know if she was sick or not, but all you need is one person to be around them, and then you don't have any symptoms for 5 days. So you walk out of the deli, oh, everything is good. Let me go to the post office. You walk into the post office, you might have the virus right now, not even think about it, and you're in a tight area, and then you give it to one person in that post office, and that person in that post office then decides they're going to go to the bank. And they go to the bank and they take a withdrawal, and while they're in there, they might infect somebody else. That person doesn't realize it, and that person goes home to mommy and daddy and brother and sister or whatever, you know, perverted neighbor, and then that person interacts and they could give it. You know, it's just an ongoing thing. So you got to take precautions. Now, as far as WrestleMania goes, this is my honest opinion. They need to postpone it. There are too many kids and there are too many elderly people that go to WrestleMania. WrestleMania is the ultimate fan experience. Pro wrestling is meant to be in front of a live crowd. It is the ultimate fan experience. When Baltimore was having those riots a couple of years ago, and they played that one game without the live audience, it was out of the norm. It was one game, blah, 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 blah. You do a half a season, you do 5 games, 10 games of baseball without fans there, and it's going to suck. You need a wrestling. It's a fan product. So the idea of doing it in empty arenas tonight was fun. The only reason why this even went down tonight is Vince McMahon holding out hope that WrestleMania still goes on. That's why the storylines continued. That's why they actually had these matches. And by the way, I thought tonight's Smackdown was fun. Did it give me a WrestleMania feel? Absolutely not. The NBA is canceled. I even said it this afternoon in my office. You could watch the video. I said, I can't believe Bellator is still having their event at Mohegan Sun. Fans are not going to appear. You know, maybe you don't interact with the fans, but all you need is one player to get sick. He bumps, you know, another sweat piles off. He breathes it in. He gets sick. Why would you even risk that? So you're telling me because anybody out there that thinks WrestleMania should continue anyway is selfish. And look, as us being wrestling fans, yeah, we're selfish. We want wrestling every single week. Look at the social media. I'm looking at people writing, and some are friends too, and good for them. Oh, wrestling is their escape. Well, not for nothing. Wrestling is a big part of my life. I love it. I get to interact with all of you, but it's not the be-all, end-all of real life. When real life throws you a curveball, you have to be able to handle it. And there are a lot of other things in life besides wrestling. There's movies, hobbies, pussy, parents, doing other things, things you may have neglected, so not having wrestling the way we're used to it for 2, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, whatever it is, we'll get over it. But the idea of doing an empty arena today, if you want to do it 1 week, fine. But the idea of doing this 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, you don't even know. I don't know if anybody's even paying attention. The travel ban that Trump issued, was everybody but the UK. UK had 200 new cases yesterday. Trump said today that he might expand the ban to the UK. What are you going to do? What are you going to do? Too many kids go to WrestleMania. Too many elderly people go to WrestleMania. If you say to me, oh, no, but all these wrestlers are going to lose a payday and this and that. Well, you know what? Too fucking bad. Not one kid should get sick because someone was there with the virus. And because they spent so much money on their tickets and this and that, they went to WrestleMania anyway. And if you think that's far-fetched, go look at the news. There are a few people that got hit with the coronavirus. And one person said, look, I got to go to Arizona for a business trip. And the doctor's like, no, you can't go with this stuff. The guy went anyway. So you mean to tell me because you invested in this? No, you cannot take the chance of kids getting sick. And the only reason why I focus on kids and elderly, because they are the most susceptible to getting seriously ill from this virus. Young adults, my age, hopefully, teenagers, our immune systems are a lot stronger than kids and adults. That's why when you hear someone gets struck with pneumonia, when you're an elderly person, that's life-threatening. When you're in your 20s, 30s, 40s, maybe even 50s, it's horrible still, but you overcome it. You can't take that chance. And I don't like the idea that Vince McMahon has not postponed this, and I'll tell you why. God bless some podcasts out there that think that they know it all. There's one podcast in particular, I don't want to criticize them because they put on a decent podcast, but they're trying to analyze the insurance aspect of if this cancels and why it hasn't canceled yet and why WWE is waiting for this and why they're waiting for that. Because of this, they know nothing. They know nothing about business interruption insurance and this and that. They have no fucking clue whatsoever. All right. In fact, if you have, I'm trying to think of a good example. I'll give you a good example. Here in my neck of the woods, when Sandy hit, it leveled a lot of people's houses. And in some areas, the city issued an ordinance that forced people to raise their houses X amount of feet from the ground. This way, if it gets flooded again, their house is raised and the house doesn't get destroyed and FEMA doesn't have to cover it again. And so in many cases, the city paid for the improvements. Raising a house is not, cheap. But in some cases, the city did not cover it. And there is a part of homeowners insurance you could purchase for city ordinances. If they force you to do something to your property, to go with the guidelines of the city, and it costs you $50,000, $100,000. Where am I going to get that? So there is insurance, but the idea that they're waiting for the government to cancel it and not this person is just asinine and stupid. WWE needs to postpone this. And I'll tell you the number one reason why. Because they're going to be damned if they do and damned if they don't. sure, they can risk WrestleMania, and maybe we find out there's no new cases of anybody with, the illness. You'll never know for a fact because you don't know. And I saw this from a bunch of people the last couple of days that could you imagine all the lawsuits? I don't even need the glasses right now. Could you imagine all the lawsuits if people get sick when they go to WrestleMania? First of all, if you go to WrestleMania, especially knowing that this virus is going around and you get sick, you're playing Russian roulette. That's on you. Number two, you don't know. It's not like forensic files where somebody gets poisoned to death and they cut a piece of hair and they can tell because hair grows 1/4 of an inch every month that they found out that on June 17th, 1998, this person was given 10 times the dosage of blah, blah, blah thol. It doesn't work that way. You get hit with this virus. You don't know if it happened on the plane. You don't know if it happened in the hotel. You don't know if it happened in the arena. You don't know if it happened in a meet and greet. You don't know if it happened in a Ring of Honor event. You don't know if it happened at WrestleCon. You don't know if that happened at WrestleMania. You don't know if that happened in your own neighborhood before you even left. Oh, I'm hugging everybody. Oh, have a safe flight. Be careful. You don't know when you got it. So you can't prove that. But WWE, and this is the problem with Vince McMahon. Vince McMahon is getting lambasted right now from all the social justice warriors out there. Look at the NBA. Look at the NHL. Look at baseball. The XFL. The XFL. The XFL had to cancel the season because they could only play games within a certain period of time. Then the NFL starts practicing again. That's why XFL canceled, Plus, they were forced to in some areas because some states issue these ordinances that you can't have more than 250 people at any gathering of 500 people or this, and that. AEW, I said it earlier, not trying to stir shit up, but AEW only changed their events after the state of New York and New Jersey issued these ordinances that they can't have more than X amount of people in the buildings. You give Ring of Honor and some others credit because they made the decision to postpone before some of these ordinances were issued. So some people were forced to change, because of what the states were doing. Now, if Florida issues a mandate that no more than 500 people or 1,000 people could be in a certain area, then WWE cancels. Just look at the visual. You see people already bringing up Owen Hart's death. Vince McMahon is all about the money. Owen Hart died and he kept the show going. Look, all these people with virus, and just think about the perception of WWE if they wait for Florida to cancel it on them. You'll have everybody and their mother. You'd see all these goofs on the net, writers, journalists, podcasts. Everybody's going to want to get tweet banged because they're all going to say, Vince McMahon didn't care about any of the people that were going in attendance and actually had the audacity to risk all of these people getting sick just because he didn't want to lose money for WrestleMania. Even if WrestleMania goes on, they're damned if they do and damned if they don't. WWE, I think right now, is trying to figure out what the next step is. I think WWE needs to postpone it and needs to do it fast. Shout out to OKFabe, great podcaster on Fight TV. Thank you, my friend. You know what I love? Seriously. And all of you out there see it. I got friends, in the podcast family. I try to show love to a lot of other shows out there, especially video shows, because I realize the amount of hard work that's involved now, and it's massive. And I plug stuff. I plug good news. We broke 8,000 subscribers on YouTube, and I'm only doing this 2 months. Do you ever see any of my podcasting friends for 5, 10, 20 years? Do you ever see them, writing about it, posting it? Very little. I think, and look, some people have lives. I'm not trying to, not my inner circle, but you see some people out there, and I notice it. And a lot of you notice that as well. Some people say things or post it because they realize that they're the only ones that didn't. And I could care less. But honestly, when we all go to the next level, we have fun and we celebrate, and they'll be out on the outside. I told you, it's like the bakery that's closed. You got a little kid outside, that wants the cookie so bad. He smells the cake and smells the fresh bread and smells the cookies. And he's got his nose against the window and the doors are locked. And you see the breath, you see the stain on the windows. Like, I got to have a cookie. Well, too bad. The bakery's closed. That's how I look at it. But anyway, getting back to what I was saying. Oh, and thank you, Celticberg. I really do appreciate that. Props to all of you that tune in. Look, I know I've beat this horse to death, but I did audio only for 22 and a half years. Video is still new to me. Still trying to figure out a lot of the technical stuff. Wednesday sucked, man. If anybody tuned in Wednesday, halfway through, I sounded like an Atari video game. I mean, somehow the audio got all shangada, and I'm looking on my end, and everything looks good. And meanwhile, people like, you sound like Darth Vader. Thank God I recorded a backup. I was up till 5 o'clock in the morning doing editing, trying to mix audio together, because I had no idea that on YouTube, you can't splice in audio. Like, you could splice in music, production music, but you can't take your own audio backup and, replace the audio of your show. You have to put the whole thing back up. So this is all still new to me, but I'm not going to shift the blame. I said to everybody I talked to on Thursday that, no, there was something wrong on YouTube. Honestly, I don't think so. I think it was something with my configuration with the video, because I'm still new with vMix. That's what I use for the podcasting that you're able to see me right now. And I absolutely love vMix, but there's a lot of little settings that I'm still not used to. And, I've seen some other people the last 2 days who wrote things that they were having some audio issues. So I tweaked a few things. So it may have very well have been on my end on Wednesday. But getting back to the Mania stuff, Vince McMahon right now, in my opinion, is trying to figure out a new date for WrestleMania. And the thing is, look at WrestleCon as an example. Now, you can't compare WrestleCon's, business to WWE, but look at it like this. WrestleCon right now is basically telling everybody, look, either the show's going to go on as scheduled, or it's not going to go on and we're going to reschedule for a later date, and all that money can be used towards, a different date, or we just cancel. We don't have a replacement date and we refund everybody's money. They're waiting on what WWE does. And a lot of other promotions are as well. Now, WWE, think of all of the money that people have spent on tickets, plane fare, hotels, restaurants. This is something that a lot of people need to understand too, that I did not notice anybody of importance bringing this up. You come to WrestleMania in Florida, you have to stay at a hotel. What if the hotel, because they don't want to have a fully, of course they want the money, but some of the employees may be forced to stay at home. What if the hotel turns around and say, look, for the next week, we're not going to have any guests? So you have that to worry about. You don't think that WWE right now is in touch with all the hotels saying, are you looking to postpone? Are you looking to shut down for a day? All you need is one. All you need is one to shut down. And you know what happens? The domino effect happens. This one shuts, this one shuts, this one shuts, this one shuts, this one shuts. The restaurants, everybody's got to eat. You go to the restaurant. What about going to the supermarket? You see what's going on today? People gathered in their masses to buy teepee for their asses. I mean, you're going to walk into a supermarket in Florida and you expect to see fully stocked shelves and stuff like that? There's going to be so many people that are not going to be prepared for this. They're not going to be able to find things. And once you're in Florida and you're stuck there, what happens if a major outbreak happens in a day or two and then they suspend flights? How do you get back home? There are so many variables that are involved with this as well. Just too many things. And WWE right now, I believe, is trying to figure out a rescheduled date. And tonight's SmackDown and even Monday's Raw was WWE's way of buying an extra week. Did you notice when Tampa, Florida, and I said this on Wednesday, please, everybody, and I wrote this on Twitter as well. You know, I totally understand we all want to have this conversation. I understand a lot of people like to interact on social media about this, but when it comes to the actual news, just pay attention to the major news sites. Pay attention to the local governments. Pay attention to WWE. Pay attention to the promotion. Pay attention to the hotel. Pay attention to the airlines. Don't pay attention to these wrestling websites that claim they got sources about this and sources about that. They have no sources. None whatsoever. They're waiting on everybody else. Get it directly from the source. But here's the thing. If WWE cancels WrestleMania, and even if they say they postpone it, and they say, you know, we'll have a new date scheduled soon, you know a ton of people out there are going to say, let me get my refund. I'm not going to take a chance of getting stuck with it. I'm going to just get my refund. I don't know if I could take off that. I'm just going to get my refund. Now, if they turn around and they say WrestleMania will be rescheduled to, let's just pick a random day in June. Let's say May. Let's say May 3rd. May 3rd. All right, WrestleMania is going to be postponed until May 3rd. Now, people out there can, of course, you could wonder, whoa, what if this coronavirus is still bad in May? If it's still bad in May, we got major problems on the horizon. But let's say they announce next week that WrestleMania is postponed. The WWE universe, you come first and foremost, and this and that, and we're going to reschedule for May 3rd, blah 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 blah. Now you have everybody out there that has a replacement date, and then could say, hey, can I take off? Look at what happened with C2E2 in Chicago. I was supposed to go to C2E2 in Chicago 2 weeks ago. And, I was going to be part of a show there to do a live show, Q&A, hang out with some of you. And then we were going to go to AEW's Revolution pay-per-view after. And then what happened was C2E2 basically said that if we do a show there, we can only do it for 30 minutes. I ain't fucking going all the way to Chicago for a 30-minute show. Sorry. Then I started looking into AEW. And, I was trying to get some press passes, not to get stuff for free, but I wanted to cover the show. I wanted to go there with some equipment. I think it would be cool to maybe, do a couple of interviews or live stream, not the show, but what's going on. Got no response whatsoever. And somebody who I really trust really went out of their way for me. No response. So I was like, I'm not fucking doing all that. So the thing is that when I canceled my flight, the airline said, okay, you have a credit that you could use within the next year, 365 days. So a lot of people out there, hopefully you bought the insurance with the airline that if something goes wrong, and you know what, I guarantee you, even if you didn't buy that type of insurance, I could almost bet my life that every airline out there is going to say anybody who had plane tickets but unfortunately has to cancel related to what's going on with the coronavirus will be given a credit at minimum. It's not, you cancel, you lose it. So I think that will happen. So anybody that was planning to go to Mania, your airline, you'll probably have a credit that's good for a year. Okay, so that's fine. Hotels, they got to do the right thing. They refund your money. You get another hotel room. It's just a matter now if you can take off, let's say in May. And we'll just use May as an example. If WWE does not announce a replacement date, there are going to be too many people out there that are going to say, look, I'm not taking the chance that Mania is canceled for 2020, this and that. So I'm just going to get my money back and my refunds. And that is a crazy amount of money to pay back to fans. So that's what I think is going on right now. But it is very, very important for WWE to be the one to make the announcement. I know there's a lot of people out there that think the opposite. They think that if Florida issues an alert or issues an ordinance that you can't have more than X amount of people at any gathering, then it looks like WWE was forced to cancel, and then everybody could say, oh, blame it on Florida. Don't blame it on WWE. Blame it on Florida. They forced us to cancel it. That does not look good towards WWE. because then it looks selfish. Then it looks like they cared more about the money than about the fans. So WWE needs to be the one, even if they know that DeSantis or whoever it is in Florida is going to announce, let's say next Thursday, of this ordinance. They got to come up Wednesday or Tuesday and say, look, we don't want to risk any one member of the WWE universe to get sick because of this virus. And for the fans, for all the workers, for the hotels, the restaurants, the vendors, and for our wrestlers and staff, we are going to postpone WrestleMania. And like I said earlier today, it's not like a baseball game that gets rained out and they announce, oh, we're going to have a doubleheader in September. There is so much logistics, money, and other things involved that have to all be understood and agreed on. So this is why, look, I know some people out there think that WWE is stalling, hoping for a miracle. And yeah, maybe they are hoping for a miracle. But they would rather, in my opinion, postpone it and come up with a replacement date, or say they're going to announce a replacement date in a couple of days, than to just abruptly cancel it and that's it. There are so many things involved with this. God bless some people online who can't even run a paper route. And they're trying to assume that WWE's doing this because of insurance. WWE's doing this because of that. WWE's doing this because of this. And again, I'm sorry for the promotions that all decided they were going to go to Florida and get a good payday because they're going to, attach themselves to WrestleMania weekend. But that's the risk you take. That's the risk you take. We all take risks. Maybe our risks are different. A lot of you out there, you live in certain areas that you get crazy ass snowstorms. What happens when you get 2 feet of snow and you're forced to stay home for 3, 4, 5 days? You're trying to tell me that you don't get hit financially just as bad as a wrestler who's going to lose autographs and appearance in Florida for 2 days? Everybody has problems. It's not the end of the world. We're wrestling fans, obviously. And, things are going to happen. And I understand a lot of us like to turn to wrestling when there is big problems in the world. But sometimes you have to put real life in front of you. Do I want to see WrestleMania canceled? Of course not. Do I want, the events, postponed? Of course not. But I also look at the reality to it is that you don't want to run the risk of anybody getting sick. So WWE has to postpone this. There isn't going to be no miracle cure in 3 days, even if they have a vaccination. We got a vaccination. You think that that's going to all of a sudden resolve everything? Plan is scheduled. Look, everybody out there needs to start preparing for no WrestleMania the first weekend in April. That's just the way it is. If you think about everything and not just as being a wrestling fan, you understand that there's really no way. Again, I think the only reason why WWE has not announced it yet is because they are trying to figure out a contingency plan. Now, as far as empty arena goes, I liked Smackdown today, but it did not get me any more excited for WrestleMania. Having Bayley and Sasha Banks coming out, it was funny because they're doing all their intros, playing off. You see Nikki Cross in the corner and she's like trying to do the momentum and how the fans usually, look, they went on as best as they could today. You can't do that for 2 weeks, 3 weeks. You can't have empty arenas for the foreseeable future. I'll be totally honest with you. I am very, very surprised that AEW is continuing events for the next week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks. Their fans are not, look, I understand we all have, short attention spans, but the fans are not going to all of a sudden, go to a different product out there and never come back. New Jersey made the ordinance. They moved it. Now, just think of everybody in the Northeast that was really looking forward to blood and guts and everything like that. And I understand it's a soap opera. It's very hard to interrupt the soap opera for 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks because of what's going on. But the idea that it's going to be in an empty arena, what if it's in an empty arena for 2, 3, 4 weeks? It just comes off more that it's not a matter of the show must go on. No, the show doesn't always have to go on. New Year's fucking Eve, New Year's Day, Christmas holiday. Their families go home for the holidays. There's a best of that happens on TV. Why can't you do a best of now? Why? Because you still want to work, but everybody else can't go to see you, so we're going to do it anyway. But when you don't want to work New Year's and you don't want to work Christmas, we're forced to watch a best of because you want your family to go home for the holidays. So in my honest opinion, AEW, okay, this coming week, you want to do something? I think the next week or two, you need to postpone your events entirely. Because right now it comes off, and I'm not just saying AEW, WWE, NXT, it's coming off as selfish, all right? Other forms of entertainment, Broadway, Disneyland, they're all postponing their events for 2 weeks, 3 weeks, a month because they don't want people to get sick. They are losing crazy amounts of money as well. Wrestling, I understand that is our escape, but it looks awfully, awfully selfish. Now, interesting because Florida today, and I don't have all the info in front of me, but Florida today announced as far as like state buildings and this and that they're not going to have more than these people and nobody's going to be. And, where AEW was going to have Dynamite in Florida, was going to be affected by it. Now they're saying that, no fans could be in attendance at all. And I just feels, why are you forcing storylines to continue another week? To me, take a week off, 2 weeks off, air fucking matches from the pay-per-view, a best of, do some interview segments. Maybe you get to know some of these stars. There's no reason why these empty arenas should go past 1 week. You want to do it next week? Fine. Raw does one, NXT does one, AEW does one. After that, that's it. That's it. 1 week, 2 weeks isn't going to kill anybody out there. You got to show that you give a shit. I mean, look at all of the other forms of entertainment. Movie companies have stopped production, not because they want to get tweet banged online. Oh, you're such a good movie company. You care about your workers. I'm going to buy your movies going forward. No, they don't want their workers or people to get sick. It's one sentence. So just because the wrestlers it's just, to me, very, very selfish, because without the fans, AEW would not be around. Without the fans, WWE would not be around. And the idea that, they can do empty arenas for the foreseeable future. I am totally, totally against that. Totally against that. And as far as Kevin, as far as WWE wanting to be the longest weekly running show, they are. They are. They do a best of it. Look, when a wrestler died, they did a tribute show. They did. Sometimes real life has to take over, and the idea that WWE thinks this isn't a 9/11. This isn't a 9/11 where wrestling has to be the outlet. Wrestling was the first big event after 9/11. The people get their minds off of what's going on. Let's all get together and we show that we, can, just not show these terrorists that they're not going to get to us and we're going to go and enjoy life no matter what. This is different. This is health. This is a virus. This isn't a terrorist act. This isn't an earthquake. This isn't a natural disaster. This is an illness where people that get together, I don't care if the building is sold out. Every single person that enters the building, you're putting them at risk, even though they're grown enough that they said, fuck it, I'm going to leave my house. you have to take the next step. So, again, no problem. Son, I didn't dye my hair, my friend. Do you think I dyed my hair? No, I got a haircut today, but that was it. So, look, I know some of you out there are going to totally disagree with what I'm saying. And I honestly and truthfully feel bad for everybody who have plane tickets for Mania, who have hotels, who have tickets for Mania for other events. I really do feel bad for those who are running shows in Florida, wrestlers that were going to appear in Florida. But you got to, at some point, take your selfishness and put it aside and understand that people could get sick. People could die. And I know that sounds very PC and I know that sounds over the top, but I'm not, look, I take precautions. I told everybody what precautions I take. Even though I take those precautions, there's still a risk that I could get sick. I told you, I went to the store today and bought stuff. And there was a woman next to me that looked like she was sick. And I purposely made sure that I was turned the other way, that I wasn't, breathing wasn't in my direction and this and that. At some points, I even held my breath a little bit. I did this. That's what I was doing. I mean, I got the wipes. There ain't nobody around right now. There ain't nobody in here going to give me coronavirus. My girl's being a prude. She's like, I'm not doing nothing for a week or two. And I'm like, why? You don't have your thing? She's like, just because, in case I'm infected and she doesn't know it, or she's infected and I don't know it, she doesn't want to take a chance. She's got 3 little doggies. So I ain't even getting any. So this virus sucks, man. And let's also be realistic. Here in the United States, what is it, like 200 million people in this country? There's what, 10, 15,000 that have this illness? Why don't you look up how many people get hit with the flu every year? Why don't you look up how many people die from the flu every year? Why don't you look up how many times people get other illnesses? All right. This is not, something where you have to worry about, chances are the people around you are not sick. But you don't want to take a chance of being around complete strangers coming from this country, coming from this state, coming from here, going through airports, going to a hotel, going through this, going to that. And you start that chain reaction. The biggest problem, and I think if people focus on this, I think you'll probably agree with me. The biggest problem is community spread. In the United States, community spread. That means that somebody has it, they spread it to someone else within the United States, whether by sneezing and this and that. It's not that people are just coming into the United States from other countries, but if everybody, takes a few days, stays by themselves, and, you pass the incubation period and you're not sick and you have no symptoms, you're probably fine. Then after those few days, not everybody could do that. Look, I'm wearing Live PD shirt tonight because as soon as we're done with this, I'm going to watch Live PD. I'm going to enjoy myself. Look at all those cops. Look at ambulance firefighters that have to still do their jobs. And, they might come in contact with someone that has coronavirus. So you got to nip this in the bud as quickly as possible. But for everybody out there, that is losing a memory, because not everybody goes to WrestleMania every year. A lot of you that are going was the first time you ever go into a WrestleMania. You're losing a memory. Some of you will be able to go to, the reschedule or next year, but some of you will not. And I totally feel bad for everybody who's involved. But the idea that some magic pill is going to be generated between now and the last week in March, that, everything is fine and there's no cases in Florida and everything is good and this and that. There's just too many variables. And again, all you need is one hotel. Look, we're going to shut things down. We're going to just keep it for emergency. That's it. You're fucked. You're screwed. So be prepared. Be prepared for this to be suspended. And if it doesn't get suspended, I don't even know how to react to that. Because again, you see everybody else taking precautions, but yet wrestling does not. That feels more like greed to me than anything else. So anyway, let me get into all of the cancellations that are going on this week, because there's quite a few. And like I said, I actually did a decent amount of research today, and a lot of websites were very good in what they listed. Unfortunately, most places out there were very sloppy, and they didn't keep up with it. I tried to keep up with it as much as possible, and I'm going to run down this list very, very quickly. This is what I gathered. For the last hour or two, it's a possibility that other things may have been postponed or canceled that I'm not aware of, so do not consider this a complete list, but I worked my ass off to give you as complete of a list as possible. Obviously, today's WWE was shut down. I'll talk a little bit more about Smackdown after I go through this list. Ring of Honor's 18th anniversary show that was supposed to take place in Las Vegas has been canceled. NXT Live in Venice for tomorrow, the 14th, that has been canceled. OTT promotion, they were having Scrapomania 6 in Dublin, Ireland, that is canceled. Ring of Honor's past and present event in Las Vegas, that has been canceled. MCW in Hollywood, they have rescheduled their event to May 29th. AAA and MLW, that I talk about this event on Wednesday Night Dynamite a few times. They were going to have their event in Tijuana tomorrow. That is still on, but they are, quote unquote, monitoring the situation. Now, it's very interesting, because if you look at the CDC and the list of each country and how many people are infected, Mexico looks like they're doing pretty damn good right now. The problem is there are so many areas in Mexico where their record keeping is not all that great. Now, Tijuana, a little bit more of a mainstream city, and they're obviously a lot better, handling their region than other areas of Mexico. But I am very surprised that is still on. I would not be surprised if some wrestlers say, fuck it, I'm not taking the chance. I'm not going to Mexico. WWE's NXT Live on Sunday in Dayton has been canceled. Evolve's event in Chicago that was supposed to take place Sunday, Evolve 148, that has been rescheduled to May 9th. Big Time Wrestling in Circleville, that has been rescheduled from tomorrow to April 18th. WWE in Toronto, they have canceled it. They have not issued a new date as of yet. New Japan's event, we already talked about that. New Japan's events are canceled for the foreseeable future. The ROW promotion in Texas City, they were going to have an event Saturday, No Limits. That's been rescheduled to April 11th. MCW on Sunday in Joppa, that's been rescheduled to May 30th. The WWE live event this Sunday in Youngstown has been canceled. No further date has been announced as far as a rescheduled date. Raw this Monday has been canceled in Pittsburgh, and it will take place in the Performance Center as we got Smackdown today. Now, I'll say this before I go any further. I wrote this earlier. I don't understand. In fact, I think, who brought it up earlier? Sean Ross Sapp. Now, look, he cut his hair for charity lately, so I kind of warmed up on the guy. But apparently he did a dick move earlier today online. Apparently he aired footage of the women, Bayley, Sasha Banks, Alexa Bliss, and Nikki Cross, when they went to a commercial break. He showed footage of them not wrestling. To me, that's a dick move. If a fan does it, if somebody in the arena that works in the building does it, and they do it anonymously, I don't condone it. But someone of his caliber, again, I understand a lot of people out there need to be noticed, need to get hits, need to be liked. But the idea that, you post that anyway, I just thought that was a dick move. So I think now, especially because of that shit that was posted earlier today, I think what I said earlier is even more important. There is no reason why SmackDown, Raw, NXT, AEW, there is no reason why these shows have to air live if there are no fans in attendance. I think if AEW was smart, they should record their show earlier in the day. You're not going to have any fans there that are going to leak spoilers. And if spoilers come out, so what? I mean, if people are curious to see what AEW is going to do in an empty arena, they're going to tune in whether there's spoilers or not. So if you record the show earlier in the day, number one, if something comes off bad, and I said this earlier on Twitter, Audible, wrestlers talk to each other during matches. They call moves. You don't have a lively fan audience there. Every little thing, you have the chance of it being heard. And whenever there's conversations that end up getting audible, you have, wrestle crap and, whatever it is, you know what I mean? They're all putting, Botchamania, they'll all post that online. So if you record AEW or Raw, NXT earlier in the day, number one, you have some time to edit out maybe a couple of things that may not come off all that well. Number two, you could get very creative. You could have some crazy ass brawls, parking lot, bathroom, gym, whatever it is, football field. You can have some crazy ass shit go down because you did it earlier in the day. So I personally think that for everybody that enjoyed Smackdown today, just think it could have possibly been even better if it was done a couple of hours in advance. They could retake this. They can do this. They could bring the camera outside. They could go do this. I personally think you do it a few hours in advance. I would not be surprised if AEW does do that. And by the way, I appreciate everybody who is having fun with this online. We all know the storyline of Shawn Spears looking for a tag team partner. And, a whole bunch of people were telling me that they would love to see this guy be the tag team partner of Shawn Spears. And, people are asking, would I actually consider, bringing back Deli Man to do something like that? I mean, look, I've done a couple of things. I mean, I actually had 3 matches. I did the manager stuff. I mean, I probably could, do a little physicality. But the problem is, we're not talking about an indie event. We're talking about AEW. And I'm not going to take the risk of stinking up the joint tremendously. Now, it would be funny if it was brought in as a skit. But, yeah, I don't think that would ever happen. But I appreciate everybody who is bringing that up. So put a smile on my face. Really put a smile on my face. So Perdato Funk doesn't even know. Perdato Funk, I actually created this character, 12 years ago? Yeah, that is yours truly. If you look at the mask up close, the mask actually says Deli Man. See the DM on the front? I mean, I don't have good pictures in front of me right now, but yeah, I actually, back in the day, I always wanted to make a wrestler, masked wrestler, was satire. And we had Chess Man, and we had this man, and blah, blah, blah man in Mexico. And I said, hey, why don't we have Deli Man? Wear the deli hat. I used the raw chicken, the gizzards, and this and that. So I actually did Deli Man. There's a video on YouTube. It's pretty bad. But you'll see me hit Vinny the Guido over the head with a loaf of Italian bread. And I used the gizzards as a mandible claw. And unfortunately, though, number one, I was about 50 pounds heavier at the time. And number two, I was going through insane amounts of pain. Suffered a couple of concussions. And I just physically could not move around. Undertaker could be methodical. Some wrestlers could be slow and methodical and it looks cool. Me, I look like an invalid. Now, because I lost the weight and the pain is a little bit more manageable, I could do a hell of a lot more than I used to. But I don't think, it's in the cards. But thank you, everybody. Yeah, the picture with Shark Boy. Yeah, I don't have the pictures in front of me, because we're doing like sort of an impromptu episode. But I really believe that some of these shows should seriously consider recording it a few hours in advance. I just think production will be so much better. Creativity will be even more. And it'll prevent people from doing what Sean Ross Sapp did. I think he owes people an apology. This isn't like 15 years ago. And some of you may remember this. back in the early 2000s, we used to get feeds from certain arenas. And it was like the arena feed. And maybe like a half an hour before Raw would happen, you would actually see some of the wrestlers like practicing in the ring and stuff like that. You know, sometimes you got the privilege of seeing a dark match here and there. But, you know, back then, you know, it was cool to see it and everything. But that was because we got the feed from, you didn't have someone who, like, what do you benefit from that by showing the women not wrestling during a commercial break? You know, what do you prove? What do you prove? That these women may not really dislike each other? Like, you know, come on, man. I said, seriously, he should be better than that. Oh my God, his name, you know, I understand the phrase talk good about me, talk bad about me, just talk about me. But sometimes you got to be a little bit classy about stuff. You know, I brought up, you all know the stories when I used to do work for XPW and other feds like that. And there's some pretty wild shit that I saw with my own eyes that I have never made public because I just think it's too disrespectful for some of the people involved. You know, I would never make it public. Even after they're dead, I probably still would never make it public. Some people know some of the stories, people that I talk to personally, but they respect me enough to not make it public either. You know, there's got to be a line where you're like, hey, you know, oh, I got this footage. Oh, my God. You know, there was one night that we were in my hotel room at XPW, and there was a bunch of wrestlers in my room, and it was one of the funniest things that I ever saw. You might have seen this recently. Chris Van Vliet, he was chopped like 50 times in his chest. I don't know who it was from. It was Tyler Breeze or someone else. I don't remember Sean Spear. I don't remember who it was. But, you know, back then, Jerry Lynn and I think it was Chaos, they had big chop contests. That I could say. You know, they're in my hotel room and they're doing chops, and you know, I'm laying in the bed and Vic Grimes is cutting this funny ass promo. And I got this raw camcorder footage from 2002, about 40 minutes of it. That is some of the funniest shit that I have ever seen behind the scenes. But there's a couple of things on there that I know for a fact, you know, those people would not like to see public. And sure, I could edit it out. But it's like, nah, you know, I'm just not going to put it out there because I just don't need that attention. I don't know what Sean Ross Sapp benefits from this. You know, just what's in his mindset? What is it, Beaver? I'm going to post this public. You're going to see the women during the commercial break. I think it's a dick move. So, Chris Van Vliet. Yeah, because I always call him Filet of Fish. I've warmed up on Chris Van Vliet because I understand his role as an interviewer is needed. You know, not everybody has to go for the gotcha questions. Chris Van Vliet has some pretty good interviews because the people there are comfortable. And they know that they're not going to get hit with a question where they're just standing there and they're so, but that style sometimes backfires. And sometimes you interview people that have no business being interviewed. For example, David Benoit. I have no problem with David Benoit carrying on the Benoit name. You know, I have debated some people over this, but that interview was like, why is he being interviewed? You know, so, but yeah, so I always called him Filet of Fish, but I actually, I'm cool with Chris Van Vliet now. He does good interviews, but you know, it's just not my style. Anyway, let me give the rest of the list. We'll talk a little bit more about SmackDown. Maybe answer a couple of questions and we'll get out of here because we're already going an hour 4, which kind of surprises me that we went this long already. But anyway, so the New Japan events I'm not going to bring up because we already know as far as Japan goes. Stardom, we already know, is postponed as well. AEW, this Wednesday coming up, it's been moved from Rochester to Jacksonville. Pay very close attention to that because of what went down tonight with the state of Florida and some buildings. Because I believe, I haven't seen it yet, but a few people told me that that building itself, you know, they don't want events going down. So, you know, I think AEW needs to make a decision and needs to do it quickly. I personally think that maybe they should have even, if they insist on doing an event, maybe they should have done it today or tomorrow. Record it for Wednesday, and then that's it. Take a week or two off. It just comes off better. Fans will appreciate that much more. Right now, I mean, could you just imagine having blood and guts in an empty arena? Come on. AEW, one of the things I love the most about AEW is the fans that tune in live, that are there in attendance. Because that energy, some of the chants, some people think are goofy, but the energy in those buildings remind me of ECW back in the 90s. Man, I used to go to ECW events. It used to be 120 degrees in the buildings. I mean, just imagine like how all that, you know, like people were joking about fans, especially guys going on the Jericho cruise. Think of all that sausage walking around. Well, imagine them all trapped in the ECW arena in the summertime. And, you know, not only did you have to smell all that sweat, you'd have people like Mike Johnson and some others walk around too. And, you know, by the way, I saw Mike Johnson at a big event last week. We did not, you know, match eyes or whatever that is, you know, like hook eyes with each other. I don't know what that term is, but we didn't make eye contact. That's probably the best way to put it. He looks the same as he did. And look, I've seen pictures of him. I've seen the video with him with CM Punk and this and that, but something different when you see someone in person, literally in front of you. Like we literally walked by each other 3 or 4 times during big event. And he's the same midget fat troll that he was back then as well. And look, I'm still fat too, but I wanted to like Mike Johnson. I really did. When I met him at the Jersey All Pro event, and we were talking, you know, about car accidents, because he had a pretty massive car accident also that a lot of people don't know about. And I was like, you know, he's actually a nice guy. And I really believe that Mike Johnson is a nice guy. I swear to God, and I'm saying that with the utmost sincerity. But too much snaky shit. Too much shit in the past, too snaky. So, you know, see, one thing that's weird about me, especially with relationships, and I'm not saying this to try to sound macho or be like a manly guy or anything like that, but no girl's ever broken up with me. No girl, I haven't had a crazy amount of relationships in my lifetime. No one has ever broken up with me. It's always been me to do it. But the thing is, and this is a bad thing about me, somebody does me wrong, usually I don't forgive it. You know, look, some people, you know, they don't really want to throw shade, but whatever. I could let little things go. But, you know, I've had some relationships in the past that because someone lied to me about, not cheating or anything like that, but something lying about something, or it just turns me off so much that it's irreparable. And I'll give you a good example. And anybody that goes back to me on Twitter, if you want to go to my Twitter feed, you'll actually see it. Right before Shea Stadium closed down for the Mets, I went to one of the last games, and they did a countdown that, you know, like when they were like 20 games left in the season, they would have like a jersey number on center field, and it would represent a Met player from yesteryear. So I happened to go to the 17th last game in Shea Stadium, and Keith Hernandez was the one that was there. I remember him, you know, like kissing the wall and got emotional. I got to meet him and everything. And it was a really cool thing. And if you look at the video that I recorded from that day, you'll hear me talking to a girl. So anyway, long story short, we had a conversation about something, and she kind of like really rubbed me the wrong way about something. And I said, I sent her a message. I'm like, look, you know, I just don't think this is going to work out. And she's like, why? Because I said this? And I'm like, nah, you know, it's just and she's like, well, you know, we could be friends, right? And I'm like, look, you see me walking down the street, don't look my way. I said, I know your father knows my father, but if we happen to be in the same thing, you just act like you don't even know me. She's like, oh my God, you're cold. And I'm like, you don't understand. Like, if I break up, I don't want nothing to do with you. There ain't no such thing as being friends. So anyway, you know, when it comes to even people online, you do me wrong, especially if it's behind my back, I may smile at you. I may look at you in the face, but I'll never forget it. And you disrespect me like that, sooner or later you find out. And there's some people online right now that think, I'm their buddy and this and that. Nobody in my inner circle, so I don't want anybody causing controversy. But privately, seriously, there's some people like that. CM Merchant, I don't know why I'm like that with relationships, but don't do me wrong. Everybody fucks up and people are forgivable. But when Mike Johnson, all that shit that he did, can never forgive him for that stuff. Even that guy Slash, and ironically, for anybody that remembers the Slash stories when I uppercutted him with the cannolis and stuff like that, no joke. April 4th, the night of the Hall of Fame ceremony is supposed to go down, April 4th, I'm actually going to the wedding of my nephew. My little nephew that Slash screwed over, that led to me uppercutting him with cannolis, and Don Tony was born. I'm going to his wedding on April 4th. That's how many years have gone by. So, by the way, I want to bring this up. British Bulldog, Davey Boy Smith, now officially being put into the WWE Hall of Fame. I wish, in a way, that Dynamite Kid would have been put in as well with him. And it's not just the fact that Dynamite Kid has had a really fucked up, adult life post-wrestling, and we know about his abuse allegations, and we know about his stuff. It's sad to see what the Dynamite Kid ended up being. I think the Dynamite Kid one day will 100% be put into the WWE Hall of Fame. It'll probably be the Legends wing that they do where there's no ceremony and some people's relatives aren't even invited, a la Bruiser Brody's great example. Dynamite Kid will be put in there. I personally think you put all the focus on the British Bulldog. Don't share that light, that moment with the Dynamite Kid. Of course, the Dynamite Kid, British Bulldog, the British Bulldogs, they were awesome back in the day. So many wrestlers, including Chris Jericho and others, I believe, Dynamite Kid was one of their biggest inspirations for them to be wrestlers. Dynamite Kid, when he gets put in the WWE Hall of Fame, I hope they announce it a week or two in advance, whenever it is, even if it's the legend side, because I can't wait to see how many wrestlers that we still love and some that are now retired who are going to come out of the woodwork to really let fans know how important Dynamite Kid was to them. But I personally feel British Bulldog, you have to put him on a different level when it comes to the WWE Hall of Fame than Dynamite Kid. I am very happy that Bulldog is going in. Yeah, it sucks what's going on right now, with the coronavirus and everything like that. Again, if you postpone Mania, there's no reason why you can't have the Hall of Fame in May or in June or July. I don't mean to sound like a dick, but British Bulldog ain't going nowhere. You know what I mean? Let the fans, do not do it in an empty building with just WWE personnel there. Let the fans come in, show their appreciation, their love. I know a lot of people out there think that WWE Hall of Fame is a joke, but I know a lot of my friends, people I don't even associate with on the internet, that I know personally, they all say the same thing, especially when the Hall of Fame was done on the Northeast. A lot of them went because to them, it was one last time that they could say thank you to someone who really was important to their wrestling fandomhood growing up. Whether it's Mick Foley or anybody else. We may think, a lot of us may think, there's no physical Hall of Fame, it's a joke, it's this, it's that. Not to the wrestlers who are being put in, and not to all of those fans who get one more time to really give them the love and appreciation. So I think it's a wonderful thing. I'm very, very happy British Bulldog is going in. I didn't even get a chance to talk about JBL. JBL, I used to despise. I was blocked for many years with JBL on social media because especially the Blue Meanie stuff was the pinnacle of it. But I started to see more and more about what JBL is outside of wrestling and what he does overseas with those kids. I know a lot of you out there probably don't even know what he does, but that guy I have a ton of respect for. JBL, it's shocking because he was probably, I still remember when I had wrestling-news.com, I still have the site, but I remember when that Goose Step footage leaked from Germany, I still got that footage. And I remember WWE posting an apology on their website, and then they pulled the apology. And I was like, you mean to tell me like you can't apologize? And then he got the title 2 weeks later, somewhere around there. And I was like, motherfucker. It's like they couldn't even apologize for that. I despise this guy. And over the years, I just started to really appreciate him. He's a very smart guy, business world, finance world. I am a big fan of JBL. Like this commentary, not blocked anymore for many years now. But I think one night stand of what he did to Blue Meanie to me was the pinnacle of my hatred for JBL. And then the incident with Joey Styles was funny as well. Best clothesline in the business, Kevin. Him and Stan Hansen. Stan Hansen's clothesline was sick also. JBL's like, I remember my friend once saying to me, like, would you pay money to go to like the big event and let JBL clothesline you? And I'm like, no. I seriously think I would get killed. It's crazy. The force behind it, crazy. Other wrestlers have done some pretty awesome looking clotheslines. I like Hangman Page with his buckshot. Maybe it's not on the level of other people in the past. What's up, Richard Slater? What's going on? Tonight I notice no tech issues, no bandwidth issues, no audio issues. So maybe these little tweaks that I did are working. One thing, if anybody's into tech stuff, what I did different tonight is I have a really good graphics card. I don't remember what model number it is. It was NVIDIA. Is that what it's called? I think it's the 2060i, which is supposed to be like one of the top graphics cards. And the way I have my OBS software, you can have the software and the cam and everything run off of the graphics card, which frees up your computer to do other things. And I've been running off of the graphics card ever since I started video 2 months ago. And I noticed little incidents here and there, and I started thinking, I wonder if it's the graphics card that's causing these little blurbs here and there. So today is the first time that I changed the setting to run off of the CPU, not the graphics card. So, who's dad? Yeah, Steiner brothers deserve to be in there as well. The problem is the hatred that Scott Steiner has for Triple H and the WWE. And unfortunately, barring some big meeting, like just olive branch being offered to Scott Steiner, I don't believe he'll ever be put in the Hall of Fame while he's alive. And my God, we had that scare last week with him. Thank God he is doing better. And again, this is me trying not to be a selfish wrestling fan. I think Scott Steiner should stop wrestling. After what happened last week, look, Jerry Lawler, God bless him. We remember. Think of how many years ago that happened on Raw. And he still has matches here and there. God bless him. And I don't mean to sound like an asshole, but to me, it feels like Scott Steiner might have done more harm to his body than Jerry Lawler did. And, Shane Douglas definitely deserves to be in the Hall of Fame. I tell you, man, being a wrestling fan since 1979, there are a very small number of people that pisses me off that they don't get more love and respect that they do today. The number one person on my list is Magnificent Morocco. I don't know what the fuck this guy has done. I know he's in the Hall of Fame, and I know once every couple of years, WWE will mention him once, and it's like I almost have to mark it on my calendar as a memory. I just can't believe when it comes to psychology, when it comes to just a natural heel, Magnificent Morocco is number 2 on my list. Terry Funk will always be number 1 for me, but Morocco is number 2. That guy, my God, I just remember being a wrestling fan in 81, 82, 83. You know, when you hear about Mick Foley, you've heard it 1,000 times, that cage match, you know, it wasn't just because Snooker jumped off the cage. It's who he jumped onto. Morocco, my God. I don't understand why WWE ignores that name as much as they do. It blows my mind. But another name that doesn't get the respect I think it deserves is Shane Douglas. I've said this many times before. When you talk about the Mount Rushmore of ECW, as far as singles wrestlers go, Shane Douglas has got to be on that Mount Rushmore, without a doubt. You know, if you don't want to put non-wrestlers, you know, we don't put Paul Heyman on there. I would put Paul Heyman, obviously, but if we're just sticking to wrestlers, without a doubt, Shane Douglas has to be on that Mount Rushmore. So does Terry Funk. They would take up 2 of the 4. I know a lot of you out there are going to turn around and say, well, who's the other 2? You know, I brought this up on Patreon not too long ago. It would be very, very difficult to start coming up. I wouldn't put, you know, I put the Dudleys as far as tag teams, but, you know, RVD would arguably be on there. Sabu would, you know, arguably be on there. The problem with Sabu is some of the controversy that happened in 95 and, you know, but Taz arguably could be up there as well. But I think 2 of those 4 easily should be Terry Funk and Sabu. Terry Funk and Shane Douglas. So, but by the way, I saw Sabu at a big event. I was standing within 5 feet of him. He looks phenomenal for his age. He looks phenomenal. He showed up on Impact this past week. You know, some people out there have a hard time with the fact that, you know, Impact is using some former ECW guys. And I'm like, what's wrong with that? Impact has got to have a little bit of a different identity. I have no problem with that. Sabu, God bless him. He's in a crazy amount of pain. He still could do it. God bless him. Sandman, I feel bad for a little bit. I know Sandman will always be Sandman. That drunken stuff that I talked about on Wednesday Night Dynamite, not good. Not good. But I blame the promotion more than anything else for letting him go out there. So anyway, Green Henry show. Yeah, Italy is really, let me tell you something. And I'm not trying to cause controversy. Dreamer, you know, Dreamer I would love to have on the Mount Rushmore of ECW. But you know what? I would have 3 different Mount Rushmores for ECW. I would have 1 for singles wrestlers. I would have 1 for tag teams. And I would have 1 for management. And just so Paul Heyman could be on a Mount Rushmore in ECW. But you know who would be right next to Paul Heyman as far as behind the scenes goes? Tommy Dreamer. I would arguably put even Bubba Ray Dudley on there as well. The amount of work that those guys did behind the scenes, it was massive. You know what makes me laugh? I'll share something with you right now. Give me 1 second. AEW. One of the Young Bucks, his wife, I think, did like a video thing introducing the wrestling figures. And I saw people online making fun of the fact that some of the AEW wrestlers, their spouses, are being put in management or positions behind the scenes. I never said a word about it. And something that a lot of you don't know, and some of you do, is when ECW was around back in the day, and trust me, I know because I pushed tickets for them the last year they're in existence. I got to be friendly with Lou D'Angeli, Louis Dangerously. He'll always remember me because I got him an autographed Jean Leclerc jersey one time, I think as a birthday gift. He was a big, big fan. I think that's his name, right? Jean Leclerc. But one thing, when he introduced me to a lot of people behind the scenes at ECW in 2000, 99, 2000, when you would walk into an ECW show And as soon as you walk in, you're greeted with tables of videos and shirts and whatever else they were selling. Feinstein was always there with our video. By the way, got to see Feinstein at a big event. He looks great. Glad that he's doing well. I saw a lot of people. I'm going to talk about it on Patreon tomorrow. Mish and I are going to be doing breakfast soup on Patreon tomorrow. If you want to sign up, as little as $5 get you everything. So some great stuff on Patreon. Plus all the shows that I do Monday, Wednesday, they're on there ad-free. So and you got exclusive shows too. But getting back to ECW, so you would walk in and you'd see, especially the table of all the shirts and all the women that were there selling the shirts. Almost all the women were girlfriends and wives of the ECW wrestlers. That's something that happens in a lot of promotions. So seeing wives and girlfriends of AEW wrestlers working in AEW doing things, whether it's makeup or introducing stuff, that's nothing new, nothing whatsoever. And I have no problem with that at all. Zero. So a lot of love in the chat room for Shane Douglas. Hey, you're bringing up some other names as well. Yeah, George Burns, not, the guy with the cigar. When he threw down the NWA title, in fact, if you want to hear a really cool story, I was doing This Week in Wrestling History for about 2 years, and I covered what led up to Douglas throwing that title down and what was going on with the tournament. Dennis Carluzzo, he was a big reason as to why they ended up throwing that title down. And, the NWA relationship with Eastern Championship Wrestling was not a good one towards the very end. And when I saw that bald fuck, when after Shane threw it down, and he's like, I don't know what's going on, and this and that. Most of that was actually true. I was never a fan of Dennis Carluzzo. So, I don't know what you mean by this, Zach Rule. Wrestling history? Oh, okay, I see what he means. Will my show, This Week in Wrestling History, ever come back? Probably not. Too much work. I mean, honestly, I had fun doing that history show for 2 years, but the amount of work, trust me, it reconnected my childhood being a wrestling fan, because I had to watch hours and hours and hours of footage a week to try to find gems that people completely forgot about. And it's not just WWE stuff, but I had so much fun doing that show. But the amount of work, I used to spend about 20 hours a week preparing for that show. And that may not sound like a lot, but when you think of everything else going on, it took a lot out of me, especially at that time. I was before I had my diverticulitis surgery and the cancer scare and, having the gallbladder taken out. So, it was fun, but it was crazy amounts of work. I like doing this now because it just, it's just a totally different animal, totally different dimension. And, this is just the beginning. When I'm able in the next month or so to be able to branch out into different shows and doing other things, and I have several people who have other podcasts that have asked me to be on as a guest. I was on Carmine Sabia's show recently, Beltomania, which was awesome. If you haven't seen it yet, watch it. Nice, friendly debate, 5 or 6 guys, all on video. But everybody else, I said, give me another month or two to just get my feel and just get used to this a little bit more. But you're going to see, so many new things and branching out. And video is my final step doing this stuff. I don't know how many more years I'll be doing it, but to me, I had to take it to another level. Just, it's a lot of fun. And we still just touching the surface. I expect a year or two from now to have 100,000 subscribers over here. And the only way that I'm going to have that happen is by, giving good content and being reliable and not just doing stuff just to do stuff. There's a lot of people that do shows out there simply because they're lonely. And trust me, I'm not ripping them, because I started my wrestling hotline in 1997 because of my car accident. It's depressing to think you're going to be in a wheelchair for the rest of your life when you go through a telephone pole, so not good. But anyway, let me finish up the cancellations and reschedules because I have a few more over here. Like I said, we'll leave Japan out of this. So again, WWE this Monday will be at the Performance Center. The MSG show that I kept seeing the freaking commercials for earlier today, that's been canceled. No reschedule date issued. AEW Blood and Guts in Newark, New Jersey, they will be coming back to Newark, but not until July 22nd. Now, some of you asked me earlier today, should Blood and Guts be postponed until July 22nd? And the answer is no. No, you have a storyline going on. You're not going to have that storyline take a pause for 3 months, 4 months. The storyline's got to continue. But there's no reason why you can't wait an extra week or two to do it. So, health comes first. PCW Ultra in Wilmington, they were supposed to have an event March 27th. That has been rescheduled till June 9th. ROW promotion in Texas City, that has been canceled March 28th as well. Time Bomb promotion in Winnipeg for March 28th, that has been canceled. PWG in Pro Wrestling Grill in Los Angeles, March 29th, that has been postponed. No rescheduled date as of yet. AEW's April 1st event in Milwaukee, they have rescheduled that to October 28th. But that April 1st event, and here again, this is why I say they need to take a week or two off. That AEW event is supposed to take place in Milwaukee April 1st. They still want to do it. They want to do it in a different state. You can't look at the map and say, there's no people with Corona in Alaska. Let's do it there. Take a fucking week or two off, in my opinion. As of right now, they say it's still on. They haven't announced where yet. The WXW promotion in Tampa, they had an event, WrestleMania weekend, April 4th. That has been canceled. WWE's WrestleMania, we don't know as of yet. AEW, April 8th in St. Louis, Missouri. That is rescheduled to October 7th. Once again, they don't know where they're going to have their April 8th show. Defy was supposed to have an event April 17th in Seattle. They have postponed that. And MCW promotion in Essex overseas, that has been postponed until the fall. Full Sail University announced today they are suspending all classes beginning Monday. So Full Sail University, it's not, I think a lot of people think Full Sail University is just where NXT takes place. No, there's a campus there. No classes. Suspended as of Monday. So even if NXT has a show, probably the Performance Center. So that's pretty much where we have right now. WWE Backstage. FS1. That looks pretty sanitary. You got probably air filters all around the place. There's only 3 or 4 people sitting in a chair. You got makeup people. That's even postponed. No WWE Backstage. By the way, I don't know. Was that final rating with Jeff Hardy being on WWE Backstage, was that the actual rating? I heard it had like 30,000 viewers, and that might even be too much right now. I don't have the number in front of me. I saw that, and I was like, my God, that is bad. That is fucking bad. I even think Impact Wrestling, since they don't reveal their piss-poor numbers on Access, I think they were probably even like, you think that's bad? Wait till you see, if you only knew what we get. That was not good, but it's nice to see Jeff Hardy back. He's on SmackDown now. He beat Baron Corbin today. Not a bad match, but again, we only had 3 matches today. They showed us a lot of the cage match from the Elimination Chamber with Miz and Morrison retaining. Look, honestly, I was happy they aired part of that match, not because I wanted to see it again, but it allowed me to prepare for tonight's show. So I listened in the background, and as soon as I heard the pin, I was like, okay, now I could go back and watch it again. John Cena at the very end and having that confrontation with Bray Wyatt. Again, I am a big fan of Bray Wyatt. I have given my thoughts as far as everything that's going on and what I believe will happen with this storyline afterwards. But again, tonight just did not give me a WrestleMania feel. Cena and Wyatt having that confrontation today, I don't know. I know it was needed because they haven't officially postponed WrestleMania yet, but it just, the show was fun today. Again, I don't have too much to complain about with today. Triple H on commentary was fun. I loved that live reaction because it was true. After Cole and Triple H were on commentary for the women's match, social media, really popped and really was enjoying Triple H's commentary. I wonder if people started thinking oh, be careful of those Mauro Ranallo jokes, which were totally innocent, but I enjoyed it for 1 week. I don't think that is a good formula to do for 2-3 weeks straight. Daniel Bryan versus Cesaro, on paper, that is a fantasy match that I think a lot of people would love to see again. They fought many years ago. Today we only got a 5 or a 6 minute match. That needs to be triple the length. They could do so much more. I was really happy to see Drew Gulak get involved with this and make the save. I talked about it on the Elimination Chamber recap. I would love to see Gulak and Daniel Bryan together. I think Daniel Bryan can really help establish Gulak. And anybody that follows me for a long time knows that I was singing the praise for Gulak with 205 Live in the Cruiserweight division. And they put him on the main roster and they really didn't do anything with him. So, do I think Gulak could get on the Buddy Murphy level? I don't know. I'm not sure. It's hard to say right now, but him, being in the tutelage of Daniel Bryan, that's a positive. Really, really like that dynamic. But again, Triple H on commentary today, great. You don't have to be so, organized to have an entertaining show. I said it today. I wasn't going to prepare for tonight's show. I was going to just talk a little bit about Smackdown, the coronavirus, give you some, updates on some events, answer some questions, and get out of here. And sometimes the ones that you don't prepare for end up being the most fun, and sometimes the better ones. Smackdown today was a fun show. It was only 3 matches if you don't count, the recap of Elimination Chamber and the highlights. Mojo Rawley, you could see this a mile away. Mojo Rawley, he's on SmackDown now, and he is going to be bringing in Gronk. Now, you almost could see this a mile away. I could be wrong on this, but I almost could see it a mile away. Mojo Rawley next week, if it's next week, they're going to be gushing over him, and Gronk is just going to be looking at Mojo Rawley like, the fuck you doing? Mojo Rawley's going to act like his buddy and this and that. Gronk has got to be a baby face. Mojo Rawley's got to be a heel. Mojo Rawley is eating a pin or two to Gronkowski. Even though I don't know if Gronk is going to be doing anything really in the ring right off the bat. You almost feel like Riddick Moss has to get involved with this somehow. Maybe with the 24/7 title, they don't have to be so technical, as far as in the ring goes. But I'm curious to see what Gronk will do. Look, the guy is charismatic. He loves wrestling, and that always rubs fans the right way. Take a wait and see approach. I think it'll be good. Now, the Page stuff, unfortunately, today, we didn't get it. That was a little confusing online because, it almost felt like it was still planned. They tried to play it off today that she had traveling issues, and could very well have been. But a lot of people were very curious to see where this was going to go with Paige. I talked about it on Monday. My gut feeling is that she was there to be in an interview segment to maybe stir the shit up with Sasha Banks and Bayley. I don't think she was there to bring out the Kabuki Warriors, I'm still nervous that the Kabuki Warriors, if WrestleMania happens, that they're going to lose the titles to A Moment to Piss. I call the team of Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross. None against them personally, but, she's got a segment, A Moment of Bliss. I call it a moment to piss. She's out there. To me, it's a moment to piss. Even though the match today on Raw was on SmackDown was not bad, but, just to see the Kabuki Warriors have to go that far down on their level. Kairi Sane, not there. Look, I personally think that WWE, even though I haven't seen this written anywhere, I'm sure some person is going to claim that they got this from their sources. You could see the article already, that the reason why some people were not there today is because WWE told their employees that it was optional if they wanted to appear. If they felt uncomfortable because of the coronavirus scare, that they had every right not to appear and to stay home. A lot of these websites make up their news. They see something and they try to guess because of it. And I could see it already. Maybe WWE does announce that they made it optional for their wrestlers if they wanted to appear or not. I don't know. But again, it was a fun show today. Nice to see Jeff Hardy back. We don't know still what's going to happen with Matt. But, Mish is around. Okay. We're terminated by Google, getting the rest of his... Okay, I see. He was chatting. Mish is still getting his stuff from Chicago, because he now lives on the Northeast over here. And by the way, again, for our patrons, tomorrow, Mish and I will be doing breakfast soup. It is going to be a much easier show. We're not going to, get into crazy loads of questions. We're going to share a lot of stories from Big Event, because not only was I there, but I was there with Mish and Shaheen, and they also traveled to Boston, hung out with Joey Numbers. Then they went to Albany and hung out with Draper, and we're already planning something big. Myself, Draper, Numbers, and Mish, we're all going to get together later on this year with everybody. We were going to do something March 28th, but not sure if that's going to be happening now because of the coronavirus scare. But with that said, I think we're pretty much done. Went a little bit longer than I expected, but we had a great conversation, and I thank all of you for tuning in live today. And, man, there's a lot of you tuning in right now. Much love. I'm curious, have you had any issues at all today with streaming or audio or anything like that? Because believe me, Wednesday was not fun. When people were telling me you sound digitized, I sound like I was in some type of tank. Again, I just got paranoid thinking that maybe it was on my end. So I did a couple of changes with my settings, and it looks like today has been flawless. There's so many. Again, this is why, just all of the podcasts that do video now, especially video, I got a newfound respect for all of them. I mean, because this is a whole different animal, especially when you are doing all the tech stuff yourself. Unfortunately, you're at the mercy of it. And when something goes wrong, especially live, the last thing you want to do is pause, shut things down, start playing around with stuff, and then you lose everything. So, yeah, today seems to be flawless. So, the thing also is, I have a Rodecaster mixer now, and I also have one of these box speakers because I don't like using headphones. But you also got to be careful when you use a speaker because you don't want the audio from the speaker to feed back into the headphones. That's how you get echo. Problem is that I'm always tweaking audio settings, depending on who I'm doing a show with. And I try to keep the settings one way. And trying to get that nice balance is not easy all the time. But this was cool. Sterling, man, much love. He's in the UK right now. It's almost 4 o'clock in the morning over there. I'm telling you, I can't even stay up to watch porn at 4 a.m. It just, and I'm not pandering to any of you right now, but, I appreciate each and every one of you out there. I really do. And always, speak up anything you like, you dislike, ideas, suggestions, send them my way, because I am always looking and always listening to everybody out there. Like I said, a lot of people, the one thing I've gotten back since coming to video more than anything else is a lot of people saying like, wow, you are nothing like I perceived you to be from the audio stuff. And now you get to see my eyes. You get to see, it's a whole different element. What you knew about me from the past is the past. Right now, what you see is what you get. I'm not a good liar. And especially when some people out there get really sick of some of the stories that I tell repeatedly over 20 some odd years, the one thing that you can always admit is that my stories have always been the same. Nothing ever changed. When you don't lie, maybe you forget about little aspects here and there, but when you don't lie, your stuff is always consistent. And that's the one thing. And it's a shame because there's some people on social media, and some of you know some of the usual suspects, but, they'll make a claim to something. And then a month later, their story totally changes. And it's like, my God, I don't even think they realize it. But I tell you, for everybody that I met at the big event last week, it was awesome. Jimmy Hart, man, talk about a nice guy. And Mish is in the chat right now. Mish will tell you I'm not lying. We were by the autograph table of J.J. Dillon, Jimmy Hart, Sabu, and Bill Apter. Bill Apter really got me choked up because I brought this up. And for a lot of you out there, you don't give a shit about this. But for me, it was a big deal. A lot of you out there know the story that I've told in the past, that I was in the ECW arena in 2002 when the Pennsylvania State Athletic Commission called the meeting with WWE and NWA TNA and XPW and CZW and Ring of Honor to talk about, the commission and violence and blood and this and that. They had this big meeting because they were trying to do everything possible to get XPW out of Philly. And I was in that empty arena at 2:00 in the afternoon. And Shane Douglas was in that arena. Who's the guy that used to make the belts? He's still around. He's a really wonderful guy. He used to write for PWBTS. Who out there remembers who I'm talking about? I can't remember his name right now. He used to make belts for a living. And he was always on PWBTS. Awesome fucking guy. Not Dave McMillan. That's not Pro Wrestling Between the Sheets. The same website as that Bob McGee that despised XPW, who I fucking hated. Still hate to this day. Can't remember his name right now. So not Reggie Parks. Right now you're just guessing belt makers. Man, I'm kind of like disappointed that I can't remember his name. But he was in the building. Shane Douglas, Bill Apter. I think Rob Black was also there, and two other people. Slash was there too. And I still remember to this day Bill Apter telling Shane Douglas, and I think it was Rob Black, like, look, do you want me to go to the State Athletic Commission on behalf of XPW, see what I can do, and this and that. And they told them no and everything like that. And, I got to have some really nice conversations that weekend with Bill Apter. Years later, when Chris Candido had passed and they had the tribute show, and Bill Apter helped me, promote the drive and all that stuff. We talked again a little bit and brought it up. So anyway, when I went at the big event and, I shook his hand, he's like, I know you from somewhere. And I brought up a couple of things online, and then I mentioned XPW. He's like, oh, yeah, he says XPW. And he remembered the State Athletic Commission meeting and remembered that I was there. And he brought up little details that there was no way he would have been lying. And it just choked me up because that's 18 years ago. And he said it. He goes, everybody on the Northeast tried to make him the bad guy. And it was such a shame. But Jimmy Hart was such a nice guy. J.J. Dillon as well. That Mish and I went to get coffee. And he's in the chat room right now. I'll tell you, I'm not making it up at all. We're going to get coffee. And I asked everybody there, you want something to drink and this and that. And Jimmy Hart's like, no, I got water. But I know that it was the same water he had for like 2 hours. So it was probably warm as hell. I think somebody else wanted a soda. And we bought it. And we're on the way back. And I said to Mish, Mish, do me a favor. Let me give Jimmy the water. And he's like, why? I was like, because, I kind of feel awkward. I didn't like introduce myself and this and that. Not like I'm anybody. Some goofs out there, especially podcast land, that don't know nothing about behind the scenes of wrestling, that even if you are an absolute nobody, even if you're not wrestling, one of the things you do is you go up to everybody, you introduce yourself, you shake the hand. Well, now you do the fist bump or whatever. But you introduce yourself, you say, hi, nice to meet you, this and that. And the way things went down on Saturday, like I didn't get to say officially hello to Jimmy Hart. And I was just standing next to him, and I felt really, really awkward because that's the first thing you do when you're behind the scenes with any place. So I had to give Jimmy the water, and I felt bad, so it was just a little gesture, but it was so much fun, man. It was, like I said, Scott Hall was there, Kevin Nash, The Godfather, Matt Hardy. There just so many names, too many to come up with. And it was just awesome because I would guess there was got to be close to 1,000 people that went. And, Undertaker was there, Strowman was there. They were on different floors, so we really didn't get any chance to see them. And, no, I can't believe nobody came up with his name. Damn, nobody came up with his name. You know what? On the next show, I will definitely come up with his name. My God, he wrote for pwbts.com, and he used to make belts. He used to sell, maybe not make the belts, but he used to sell wrestling belts for a living. He's still alive. He's still doing well. He was a bald guy, a little bit chubbier, goatee, Irish guy. I can't believe nobody remembers him. Not Stu Sachs. Stu Sachs was from, Pro Wrestling Illustrated. I'm talking about a belt guy selling belts. He was probably my age, maybe even a little bit younger. But damn, I feel bad because that guy was one of the nicest guys as well, and he was there to cover this stuff. And but hey, I got tons of stories we could always share in the future. We'll have some fun in the future. Like I said, going forward, we're gonna make these a lot more interactive, a lot of Q&A. You want whatever you want to talk about. You want to ask me anything. I have tons of retro photos of yours truly. Going back to my teen years, some absolutely ridiculously bad ones. If you go on my Twitter at DonTonyD, I reposted the one that I took with Cactus and Terry Funk in 1998, where I had that horribly disgusting chest hair. And that day was memorable because not only did I go to Philly to hang out with them and actually eat a little while, but I actually got to ask Terry Funk a question on the R Video Shoot interview. If you go and watch it, you'll hear me. But I also got into a road rage incident that day. Somebody cut me off on the highway. I cut the bitch off back, and they followed me all the way to my parents' house in Middle Village. And they got out of the car, and it was a woman driver, and, my ex started pulling her hair, and somebody called the cops. My mother came out all frantic. They put my ex in handcuffs, put her in the back seat of the car. Yeah, big road rage incident. So that was a memorable fucking day, man. So anyway, yeah, I think we're out of here. I was hoping last minute somebody would have come up with his name, but I don't know why the name would like a B. So I can't remember the guy's name. Shit. I'll mention it next time. So a lot of you, as soon as I mention his name, you'd be like, oh yeah, all right. PWBTS used to sell wrestling title belts for a living. He had it for a while too, many, many years. In fact, he might even still be around selling belts, but so many stories we could share, everybody. That's why, like I said, this is a whole different animal. Being able to do video and having some fun and, it's much better. Puts a face behind everything. And everyone enjoy the rest of the weekend. And if you want to sign up on a Patreon, patreon.com/DonTony. Mish and I will be doing breakfast soup tomorrow, Saturday. We're going to start sometime between 4 p.m. and 5 p.m. around there. And we'll talk a lot more about Big Event. We'll get into questions and a few other things. I'm sure some of the stuff that I brought up today will be debated with Mish tomorrow. Yeah, that's another thing. If you like today's show, what I'm doing, I'm not asking anybody to send chat money or anything like that. Before you leave, hit the like button. Because, like I said, I'm only on this for 2 months. And I still don't even understand, like, how they figure out like recommendations for this show and others, and how important the likes are. And if you don't like it, dislike it. I'd rather you all be honest. But hitting the like button gets me a little more exposure, and that would be really cool if you could do that. And definitely support all the other podcasts out there. Seriously, I mean, everybody is busting their ass. And they all love doing this. So much love. I have no problem giving props to other people out there. There's still some shows out there that absolutely will not mention any other show out there because they have this weird fear that if their listeners or viewers find out about another person's show, that they'll go check out that show instead of them. It's just not the case. And trust me, I used to be guilty of that as well. Bob McGee is not the belt guy. Bob McGee is the guy that owned PWBTS. He was the dick. But there's another guy. I can't remember his name. Damn. Can't remember his name. What the hell did I just drop? I heard something fall. Shit. Oh, man. My suit button. I just went like this, and I tapped my suit button, and apparently a button just broke somewhere. Where the fuck did it break? I don't know. Maybe, it might have been the one inside. So, I wanted to tell you before we go damn, I'm almost tempted to give away a shirt or a video if somebody could come up with the guy's name. See, it'd be unprofessional for me to start Googling stuff right now. And I don't want to fuck with the video stuff, but I guarantee if I did a quick Google search, you just type in pwbts.com, type in the word wrestling, and type in belts. And I think his name would come up. But, one thing I wanted to tell you too. The news coming out of China, the news coming out of Italy, believe me when I tell you, because I have family that lives in Italy. My brother's wife's father just came back from Italy 2 weeks ago. My niece was in Italy a couple of weeks ago. She was supposed to stay there for 3 months with her college, Winthrop, I think it is. They had like exchange students, whatever. She came back early. And one thing, when you FaceTime relatives in Italy, they tell you that there are many more deaths in Italy than is being reported. That the virus has spread a hell of a lot more than is being reported. One thing that's happening in Italy more than anything else is that the deaths are more attributed to elderlies, people in their 70s and their 80s, because their immune system is much worse. And, I always joked about it, but it is a thing in Italy. My father does it. I do it. A lot of old school Italians do it. One thing that's kind of negative about us is we got this manly ego about ourselves. Like, you can't show pain to the opposite sex if you're heterosexual. My father, I brought it up. My father fractured his vertebrae. He's got to get spinal surgery in June. And we found out that he fell twice. Never told anybody about the first time, but the second time he fell, he walks into the house and my mother's like, oh my God, what happened? What happened? And my father, with his Italian ego, he's like, I'm all right. Just make a bath. I'll be okay. Motherfucker fractured vertebrae, his neck. He's all shot now. He's walking like a hunchback now because his spine is all screwed up. So me too. With my girl, even back in the day, like I get hurt or something, I'm fine. Even when I had my diverticulitis surgery a year ago. And, they cut, so Brock Lesnar had the same surgery. They cut part of my intestine, sewed it back together. And, my girl is like, you okay? And I'm like, I'm fine. It was nothing, a little snip, tuck, tuck. Meanwhile, if I ate a piece of cheese, it felt like somebody punched me in the stomach. So my dad, he's going into surgery in June. So he's really fucked up. If I put, you've seen my x-rays. You see my spinal stimulator and the pins and the screws and this and that. You look at his, my God, it looks so bad. I feel bad for him. It's not Dave McMillan. It's not Bob Barnett. Man, I'm telling you, I'm surprised that we can't remember the guy's name. It's funny because, it's almost like, and that's another thing with me. Like, I can't, like, if something's not completed, I have to complete it. before I move on. I have an argument with my girl. We have to settle the argument. Can't go the whole night. You know, like I had the problem Wednesday with the audio. I was just going to be like, fuck it. I'll just leave the Darth Vader stuff. You want the audio version only? I got the backup. That sounds good. We don't have to worry about it. Blah, 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 blah. And I was like, nah, man, I got to fucking put this together. And I'm splicing things. And I'm like, I got to finish the job. Oh, man. Not Roddy, Ryan Boy. I think people are just making up names right now. So you guys have any quick like questions, rapid fire before we go? I'll answer a couple because right now it's 12:10 a.m. I'll go to 12:15. That'll give us about 2 hours. So give everybody a second. Yeah, bald dude dresses like a pimp. I think you're a little on the right track. I can't remember his name. All right, you know, just so everybody knows, there's 3 different levels of, let me see, I'll tell you what it is. There's 3 different levels of latency, and I have it on low latency right now. I could go on ultra low latency, and what that means is that I see your reactions immediately after I talk. So there's like a 5 or a 10 second difference. That's why it was a little bit of a pause here. So if anybody has any quick rapid fire you want me to answer, the WWE stock is getting hammered right now because of the uncertainty and them losing the revenue, especially with Florida. That's not helping either. And trust me, the stock market is one of the reasons why WWE hasn't made that decision yet. WWE has to be the ones to postpone it. They can't be forced from Florida. It's just not going to look good in WWE's eyes. It's going to look very selfish. It's not a good PR move. They need to postpone it. Let's see. What are the repercussions of WWE not pulling out before the government forces them? Just like what I said, Mish. It's just the PR. The PR will be terrible. That, you know, look, again, I said about XFL. XFL canceled the season, not because they were so worried about the fans attending. They were forced in some states, but they can only have their games within a certain period of time. And next thing you know, NFL is going to be training. And, you know, so this wasn't like, oh my God, you know, they really, really care. No, it's just the logistics. They're like, wow, we can't fucking do this now. And it's a shame because XFL, I don't know if it recovers. You know, look, I brought it up week 1. I told everybody out there, people were like, oh, what do you think? What do you think? I said, I don't make a decision after 1 week. I remember XFL in 2001, and I remember how the ratings in 2 or 3 weeks were just terrible. And, you know, right before this coronavirus really affecting, you know, the world, look at the ratings. Look at XFL's ratings by week 4. Their ratings went down like 65, 70% in some cases. You know, the games were decent. The live fans attending were having a great time. But unfortunately, the newness wore off. You expected a ratings drop no matter what, but I don't know if anybody ever expected to be that much of a ratings drop. I'm not getting into Madonna right now. I know why you're doing that because of wrestling soup. I was a little pissed at that. Now I'm saying that lightheartedly because I was a big fan of Madonna's growing up. Hell, I used to hang out in Ozone Park, Queens. I used to hang out a block away from where Cyndi Lauper lived. And the big thing in 1985 was all the rumors that Madonna or Madonna's mother lived in Woodhaven, Queens, around the corner where me and my friends used to hang out as well. And for a little while, Madonna lived in a house in Corona, Queens, but this is late 70s. So, you know, I wasn't even allowed off my stoop at the time. But Madonna, you know, her early stuff, we were all fans of. And the thing why I wanted to have a fun conversation with Mish about Madonna, maybe we'll do it on Patreon tomorrow, is, you know, I went through puberty in the desperately seeking Susan age. So you look at my yearbook and you look at the women, especially where I DJ'd the dance-a-thon, and you look at that video, everybody's dressed like Madonna. Just watch the movie Desperately Seeking Susan. and just look at how they dress. Now imagine going to a Catholic high school and having girls dress like that as well. My God, man, just kill me and I'll die and go to heaven. I had a fucking ball back then. So, let's see. I'm looking to see if I'm surprised a lot of people. Do I consider Triple H's new role a demotion? No, not at all. Not at all. Triple H is needed in some areas. I know a lot of people look at it on paper and call it a demotion, but sometimes you need someone who is overqualified to work in a different area that needs it more than anything else. Sometimes, when I compare it to, it's a bad comparison, but you'll see where I'm going with this. My father owned a supermarket. My father's pretty much retired now, obviously, but he owned a supermarket and, he was making awesome money and he had people working for him. Once in a while, my father would put on the apron and work behind the counter and he would cut meat and stuff like that. And one time he almost cut his finger off. And I remember my mom saying this. I was a teenager and my mom said, why are you doing that? You're gonna hurt yourself. And they needed him to be in certain areas. Now, yeah, it's a bad example with Triple H. My point is that just because they reassign Triple H to do other things doesn't mean that he's doing anything wrong. They just feel that he is better utilized in a different area. I don't consider that a demotion at all. Not at all. What's up, Mike Truth? Wow, he hasn't seen or heard my stuff for years. Yeah. I hope I don't disappoint anybody out there. So, hey, you guys stick around. I'll keep doing this stuff. So, all right, you know what we'll do on the next show? Maybe we'll do Don Tony Show next Friday again if you want to do it again. Actually, let's set the date. Definitely next Friday. We'll do it again because I think a lot is going to transpire between now and next Friday. Even if WWE postpones Mania, I promise you I will not come up here next Friday and say, I told you. It's a 50-50 answer. You either get it right or you got it wrong. But next Friday, I'll be back here for the Don Tony Show. We'll do a lot more to Ask Me Anything, so you have a whole week to prepare. And I'll drop the latency down. So this way, when I talk, there'll be like 2-second delay at the most. There's different settings over here. I went in the middle because I wanted to make sure we don't have any issues today. And I could honestly say in the entire 2 months of me doing any video stuff, this is the first time today where it seems like there has been no glitches at all. None. I know sometimes I'll be saying something and for like a second or two it gets altered. I know sometimes, it'll never be pristine or perfect. But today, because I have little alerts over here, not one. So absolutely love it. I love it. And so you got a week. Get all your questions together. And look, I know about the super chat and everything and much appreciated. I definitely will love incorporating that in the future. But next week, you don't have to worry about doing a super chat to interact with the questions. We'll have a load of fun. You'll actually dictate where the show goes, the conversation as well. But I would appreciate one thing today. Well, two. If you like this, you got some friends that may like what I do, let them know about the channel. It's free to check it out. And the second thing is before you leave, hit the like button because there's about 80% of you out there that have not done so. So before you leave, just do me a favor, hit the like button. Yeah, algorithm. That's what, thank you, Mike. Apparently there's something with YouTube with algorithms that, if you have a certain number of likes, it changes this algorithm and this could be it would be pretty funny, seriously. Some of the people out there that can't stand yours truly, just picture those people who have their YouTube channels and they're looking at their own clips, maybe trying to tweak things, see what they can improve. And then when it's over, a recommendation pops up and it's yours truly and the Donzilla Army that's tuning in right now. I'm telling you, some people out there, there's one phrase, and it's funny because I saw a woman, I don't remember who it was, but a woman in wrestling said it today. She said that the biggest revenge that you could have on, I know who it was, Chelsea Green. Chelsea Green had an odd tweet today. I don't know if any of you saw it, but she basically was talking about her ex. Now, I don't follow Chelsea Green's relationship life, other than the fact that I know that she's with Zack Ryder right now. But she wrote a tweet today that was really, really odd. And she said something to like, she knew that her ex used to like come across her wrestling clips, and she always wondered what he thought of her now. But then she says that she wonders if her ex comes across the clips of her hot boyfriend, fiance, whatever he is, Zack Ryder. And I was like, wow, it was just really, I see, because I don't, again, maybe her ex is somebody famous that abused the shit out of her. And yeah, then rub it in his face. Absolutely. But it was just like, if you're happy with Zack Ryder, because I know just me from a guy, if my girl right now went on social media, especially now we're engaged, and she's like, oh, I imagine what my ex is, then I kind of feel like, are you just like mentioning it? Like using me as like a revenge, that would piss me off, not for nothing. So, but somebody said to her that the ultimate revenge on someone is happiness and success. And that's something that I keep reiterating doing these shows. Hit the like button, hit the like button. But yeah, that's something too. It blows me away that some people out there still are very bitter that I moved on to video. I don't get it. Like, it's a different, totally different, I wanted to expand. I wanted to, go try something new. I wanted a challenge. I wanted to create a different dimension of yours truly. Want to have some fun. We still haven't used the freaking wheel yet. So it's like I did video, and some people try to give me a guilt trip like I'm doing something wrong. So, to me, to those people out there, I don't even, it doesn't even bother me. I just know that, when they see success and see that we just broke 8,000 and, I want to get to 9,000 and 10,000 and 50,000. And, like I said, apparently these algorithms with these likes and stuff like that, some of those haters do podcasts as well, video. And I just imagine their eyes when they see recommended show and we pop up. And that's what this stuff is all about. It's we. And I'm not trying to pander, and I'm not trying to, blow bullshit to anybody out there. But seriously, this is a joint effort. It is all of you tuning in, and it is yours truly. This channel is ours, and it's only going to be as big as you want it to be. So keep sending the feedback. Keep posting the comments. I read them all. I answer as many as I possibly can. Follow me on Twitter @DonTonyD. If you want to join up on the Patreon, patreon.com/DonTony. And, I guess I'll mention this too. If you want to sign up there, not only will you get Mish and I going live tomorrow for Breakfast Soup, but we've done over 100 episodes there. And each episode averages 2 hours minimum. So you got 100 plus episodes to watch and listen to, and there's other shows up there as well. I'm not the only one there. My co-host Kev Castle, he's got a solo show. He does another show with his friend, and so there's like hundreds of shows there, all exclusive. So don't feel obligated, but like I said, the ultimate appreciation is that you tune in, spread the word, hit the like button. I'll be back next week. So the schedule now is Breakfast Soup tomorrow, DTKC Monday, Wednesday Night Don-O-Mite next Wednesday, and then I'll be back next Friday for the Don Tony Show. So again, get your questions ready. All I ask is whatever questions you ask, quick. So this way we can answer as many as possible. So have a great night, everyone. Appreciate it. Much love as always. And I catch you all again next week. Ciao, everybody.
Don-O-Mite.
It was fun to channel surf. It was kind of hard to do a little pocket pool after you hitting the last channel button 50 times for 2 hours plus.
Don-O-Mite.
And his whole idea of overanalyzing, oh, he's an alcoholic and he misplaced the belt. And how could you have someone champion like that? The fuck out of here.
Wednesday night.
Don-O-Mite, you can have fun. You really are.